on that note, we should get to unpopular opinions.
We should, yeah. I feel kind of bad because we didn't talk about studio very much at all.
Man,
all we did was talk about music.
Matters.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're fucking here doing it at the studio, which is a gorgeous studio.
Oh yeah, thanks.
And we're gonna do this here every Tuesday for free.
Tuesday for free for $10,000.
$10,000 an episode and exposure points. And so
balance out to zero.
Yeah, especially with our social media numbers.
I've seen the data.
All right, so here's my unpopular opinion. I think people conflate selling out with buying in.
You fucking yuppie piece of shit.
People conflate selling out with buying in.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I think like the idea of selling out is like a nihilistic approach to dismissing your own iniquities.
Yeah, totally. Not to say that you can't sell out because there is that barrier that we cross, but there's a difference between buying in and selling out. Selling out would be the distinction that I make is that if you're doing something for the sake of fame, purely that is selling out.
That's selling out, yeah.
If you're talking about an experience that you haven't experienced before, or you're trying to put across a brand that you don't embody just for the sake of being famous, that is selling out. Now, playing the game to achieve certain financial goals is a different thing.
Yeah,
right.
I think when it comes to money, changes immediately.
100%. I think there's a certain kind of narcissist out there, especially in the entertainment industry, that will do things just for attention. It doesn't matter. And obviously, with the fame comes the money. So that's just a thing that happens with it, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's easy to say, well, the money. It's like, no. I can tell based on how you approached this thing that you wanted the fame, and the money was just something that came with it.
Oh, I mean, like you can see that when like I follow people on social media that I've met on like doing runs for shows or whatever. I play with a lot of people in other states, and then I still follow them. That's what you do when you go to shows, right? You like, oh, dude, let's exchange socials. Let's check it out. And you're like, you're networking, right? That's
totally
the whole point of it. But like, I follow them, and I'm like, oh, you're doing this because like you're hoping that like some company's gonna grab this. Like I can tell that's what you're doing.
Right.
And it's upsetting. So I'm like, I know you're a good musician. Like I played a show with you. Like play a chorus of your song and post that on social media, and it'll do well.
Yeah.
Don't do like the trendy thing that you're like, I'm trying to get the attention of somebody that has money. And that to me is just like, it's like panhandling almost in like a weird abstract way.
Well, you see this a lot in the comedy scene, right? So you have like the New York comics versus like the LA comics. And this is a, West Coast, East Coast thing without the guns and stuff, right? But like the difference being that like you see the New York comics, like people like Dave Attell, right? Or Jeffrey Ross, people that are just like, we're stand-up comics. Like this is what we do. This is how we make our living. Then you have the LA comics and you watch their show. It's like they're doing characters.
They're trying to get a gig.
They're trying to get a gig. They're trying to get a TV show. They're trying to get into a movie. They're like they're working on characters to sell, to pitch to a show. The difference being is like we're New York. We're doing comedy for the sake of the art of stand-up comedy.
That's what we're good at.
Yeah, exactly. We know that. And like they just like that's their thing. And a lot of those guys are poor, they're miserable, whatever, but like we're doing this is for the art of stand-up comedy. A lot of the LA crowd is like, oh yeah, I have this character that I can do. I'll do this accent.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's a stepping stone.
And look at fucking David Tell's record. That dude's barely he might have a couple stand-up specials. That dude's just out there just trying to be fucking funny.
His Insomniac show was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, that guy is one of the best comedians of all time.
Yeah, he's really funny.
Lex was crazy.
Yeah, so good.
Look at that.
Okay, well, he's been around a long time. He's got some films. He's also in New York. That's going to happen too. Whatever, bro.
He's from New York. Yeah.
I love how that's why I'm talking. Commit to the silence, guys.
Possums are the cutest animal.
They're the cutest animal?
I think they're adorable.
Okay. Are they just adorable, or are they the cutest animal?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that they're the cutest animal.
I think possums are very cute.
Yeah, me too.
They're not the cutest though.
What's more cute than a possum?
Just any puppy.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, they are pretty cute though.
Kittens are, they are cute. I'll acknowledge that. But
I had to word it in an unpopular opinion phrase.
It's unpopular to say they're cute. People hate them.
You know what's even cuter, actually?
Me? Thank you.
Baby goats.
I've been waiting for you to acknowledge my
Kids.
attractiveness for a long time.
Yeah, that's pretty cute too.
Baby sloths.
Yeah, baby sloths. Oh, damn, that's his baby sloth. That's adorable.
You should pull up a video of a python eating one of those.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Don't they only eat eucalyptus?
No, that's a koala bear.
What's the difference?
They're,
Oh, a lot.
yeah, well, it's a whole different species of animal.
Different continent.
Anyways,
Um,
I just think possums
time.
are really cute.
Okay, it's still unpopular.
Yeah, you know what? I'll stick
No,
by that. I
I
don't
mean-
think that's the cutest animal.
So I would probably say like a baby possum.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's go with that. That's a vibe.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to deal with an adult possum before, personally?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, the
they'll
ghost of
see-
Gilmore Street. I thought for sure my house was haunted, and it was just the biggest fucking possum you've ever seen in the middle of the night, just
Yeah.
walking around, not
Yes,
giving
yeah.
a fuck that anything else existed.
I
but
mean,
himself.
like, here's the thing though. Like, I don't dislike adult possums.
Yeah.
I respect them.
Yeah.
Like, they're creature. Like, they got that powerful tail that's just like erect at all times.
I've had nightmares about those tails.
those tails are fully erect. It's
Not even
impressive.
joking.
That's weird. I was gonna say though, if I could, I would have a possum as a pet for sure.
I dated a chick that had a skunk as a pet.
You can get skunks. Yeah.
Those things are fucking strong. It's just
Really?
solid mass, and their
Makes
claws.
the whole date rape Pepe Le Pew thing even creepier.
Yeah, I mean that cat had no chance.
Oh man.
Oh no,
Oh no,
Bro,
God, that's so fucked up.
bro, the claws,
no chance.
the claws on this thing. First off, like insanely sharp. The claws,
Yeah.
so sharp, and like the nails are so dense,
Look up possums as pets. That'd be nice. I just want to see.
and just a
he's trying to
firm-
reinforce his unpopular
a
opinion.
firm body of matter there. I will say, I was very taken back by how
Dense.
how dense
I've never
the skunk
seen a skunk
was.
before.
You're not missing much.
Anyways,
Thank you.
possums are cute.
They are cute. No one here disagrees with that.
What
Anyways,
about you, tough guy? What's your unpopular opinion?
And I hope this does not catch any flack. If it does, I'm more than happy to have conversations.
And
in
we
person.
will take the views, honestly.
Yeah, like we'll have a discussion. I think that number one, people that say DIY don't realize that everything is DIY. And number two, I think the DIY community does more harm than good for the actual up and coming musicians.
Interesting. I would love to hear your perspective on that.
bet you would.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm speaking specifically of the culture that is developed in probably the past 10 years around DIY. I have a hard time with.
Okay.
I'm speaking of like DIY shows, like house show vibes, like
You
fuck
should go. You should go
promoters.
to our YouTube page, Chris, and see what the header says. Anyways, keep going.
I just feel like I started, you could argue, DIY. I recorded my first record in my closet. That's how I learned how to do Pro Tools and how I got the studio. Was by myself, just figuring it out, right? Like that's DIY. Would you agree it's DIY?
Yeah, 100%.
100% DIY. I'm here now. I never went to school for this, and I'm doing this now. That's how it happened. It's DIY, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I see then the culture about like 5 years later of what is being classified as DIY. And so I go, hey, I'm DIY too. I want to be in that community. I also will preface this by saying I'm speaking more specifically to the Jacksonville, Florida DIY community that I'm experiencing.
Jacksonville, Florida, representative of the entire United States and the world.
So
Sure.
this is all definitely like nuance, but I would say the overarching culture that like people identify as like that's DIY, which I think now you can kind of argue is like either like the soft emo or the like the pop punk of our current Gen Z type vibes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about those, not necessarily the act of DIY. That's different,
Right.
Because like I know what that is.
I see what you're saying.
because I do that.
It's a culture, basically,
Yes.
that's kind of like hijacked the name.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
like, oh, we're DIY because we do it this way, and like we also like act like pieces of shit at shows and act selfish as hell.
Yeah.
And like, and also like my feelings are more important than yours. And also like I'm DIY, and that's why I'm doing this. It's because like I'm trying to look out for myself because I'm a DIY musician.
Okay. I haven't experienced that.
Yeah, me neither.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
I'd consider what we do DIY. Like, everything is self-produced. Everything is self-funded. Everything
Your
is
own money, right?
Yeah. It's everything like that.
It's actually DIY.
It's actually DIY. Now, if there's a culture, it's kind of like the same thing with, the Gen Z crowd's kind of like hijacked the term like
Yep.
woke. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
and then
Yep,
there's like
same
this,
thing.
there's this idea of like, okay, well, you have to acknowledge this, and this in this specific way, or you're not actually progressive, or you're not actually this.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would be
Yeah.
an example of somebody doing something DIY that it's not.
It's not actually DIY.
Yeah.
Okay, so a good example is like these bands that they'll have a show they put on, but then the reality is that they've got somebody like in their band that's in another band that's like doing well, and so they're like, oh, it's a DIY show, but we also promoted it like on our actual Instagram page or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, like it's DIY, like for sure, like you did it yourself, but then at the same time, it's like, what's different about that than like a normal band, like any time ever? Like every band has started DIY at some point, but then it's like you're using that tag of like it's DIY, we did it ourselves as a branding point.
Yeah.
And which is fine, but like in the past, especially like the past 4 or 5 years, to be honest, it's become manipulated to the point of like, it's kind of like the rap battle sort of thing. It's like, hey, we can end you in 5 minutes on an Instagram post if we want to.
That is,
if you don't get on this train, like we can end you in 5 minutes because we don't like the way you talk to us at this show.
That's like the representation of like the Gen Z
who have hijacked the DIY culture, in my opinion.
Yeah, that goes across the board, like in any spectrum, whether it's music or whether it's politics or whether it's whatever.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's like, if you don't do it this way, we will end you. And to the point where it becomes like they cannibalize
Religious.
Themselves. Yeah,
yeah.
It's very dogmatic, and they hold each other to a standard that they can't actually live up to themselves.
No, definitely not.
Right, and then beyond that, there's a commitment to the lifestyle. And we noticed this when we had our friend Mike Ciro. He's a promoter over at Underbelly in 1904, and he works really heavy in the metal scene and in the punk scene. You know, we were kind of asking him, like, you know, why bands in that scene like don't ever make money. I mean, well, there's 10 bands on one bill, and promoters they seem to like always kind of screw them. He's like, it's not even about that. There's a commitment to the lifestyle. Like if you're gonna be punk or you're gonna be metal, like you're going.
Like that's what you're doing.
That's what you're doing, and you're gonna struggle. And if you succeed, you're kind of disowning the brand. You know.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So there's a commitment to that struggle and to that lifestyle that, if you start to exceed beyond that, you're kind of like abandoning them.
For me, in my personal experience in the community that I like was advertising themselves as DIY, it was just a name front for like, let's have shows that we get drunk at and like, play, which is totally fine. Like I'm down for that. Like if that's your intention, if you're super content with just like, hey, me and my boys are going to play a show at our house every other month and like have fun, great. But don't pretend like the whole establishment is against you because you're doing this DIY scene.
Now it just clicked in my head.
It's a commitment to the lifestyle, like to the point where you're not even like acknowledging that there's a different way.
It actually circles your point too, of like
selling out and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like no, I'm buying in. Like so what? I'm trying. Yeah, I'm gonna try. Like I want to put time into this. Like I put this artwork out. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, that's cringe.
Right.
Like, no, man, this is like, fuck it. I'm going to be cringe.
Back in
like,
our
let me
day,
be cringe. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. We used to call them posers.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, but I would say they were.
Got some dust a little bit. Yeah. Poser.
I would say
Poser.
those.
Yeah.
The people he's talking about aren't the posers, though. Like we'd be the posers.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you
come on, man. Get with it.
That was the most ridiculous, like 90s as if face you could ever make.
I know.
Yeah.
I look at myself as DIY.
Yeah.
But like I don't record any DIY bands here.
Do they record?
They do record. That's the thing. And you know what's funny is like I feel like they probably record in studios, but it's like because I'm attached to a commercial building and I pay insurance and I pay like
you're not like a fucking shack in someone's backyard.
Yeah,
or
like all of a sudden it's like, oh no, man, you're corporate. And it's like, no, dude, I'm fucking doing this myself.
Yeah.
Like this is DIY. Like I'm doing my own like accounting shit. In between sessions, I'm like, okay, I got to do all this stuff and like figure it out. It's like, that's DIY to me.
Yeah.
I think it's just not fun being poor in your 30s. It really fucking sucks.
So is it just like bitterness?
Yeah, it's just like I don't want to be part of that DIY. I want a fucking car with air conditioning, or a house with air conditioning.
You just gotta fucking. It's just at some point, it's just time to buy in.